again, we are coming to you from the Bhavan in West Kensington, and from a center that celebrates arts, culture, music and dance, particularly from India. It gives me great pleasure to be talking to you about a topic which perhaps you and I can relate to wherever we live, whichever day or whichever month in the year it could be, because these are emotions and all of us go through that. So the topic I'm going to be discussing today is for somebody who may be seriously ill, or for somebody who may not be ill even. When it comes to holistic living, when it comes to living the life which is therapeutic, does music come among the first choices? Let me introduce our panel today. Dr. Nandakumara, who is director at the Bhavan, Dr. Ramya Mohan, who is a consultant psychiatrist at the NHS, her specialization being child and adolescents, and so is Dr.
Rakendu Suren.
Dr. Rakendu Suren, who again is practicing here in London, a consultant psychiatrist again with the NHS, and the same specialization, child and adolescents. And I'm sure that's a very, very tricky space to be in, because every day must be so varied and every single patient must be so different from the other. Why are we talking this today? That's because Dr. Ramya Mohan, who works with the NHS, has decided to take a break from the NHS to be able to bring about what is called CAPE, did you say? Mm-hmm. Tell us more about that.
So CAPE, or Creative Arts for Processing Emotions, is a self-motivated therapeutic technique that I conceptualized in collaboration with the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. And the difference with CAPE is that it's got a basis in neuroscientific research that we did on music and emotions and the brain. So the idea was that we pull all these different components together to provide it a solid scientific base. And based on that, we actually develop a technique that incorporates the best of music and other well-evidenced therapeutic techniques to support emotional processing, specifically in children and young people, but also for the general population.
Okay, processing emotions, but let me process this information first. So this is creative arts for processing emotions. And what got me very attracted to this effort that she's put in is the fact that she's used a bit of Carnatic music, and ragas are being used to soothe the mind, to tell me, for example, on a stressful day at work, which is almost every day, relax. How did you get about with bringing ragas into this design that you've created?
So I'm a lady with Eastern roots from India, trained in classical music, and at the same time having had a working life in the West for many years, I thought the kind of people we do meet are quite cosmopolitan, global, well-traveled, and we were looking at bringing the best of the East and the West into something as universal as music, and that's how it kind of came about. So we used ragas and combined them with contemporary Western music to give it a global feel, and also to increase accessibility and reach for everyone.
Right, so is this in the form of a CD or something that people can pick up?
Initially it was developed as a CD, and we've used information and learning from the CD and feedback, and we are in the process of now developing it into an integrated healthcare portal with an incorporated app as well that people can access on the go in the smartphones at any time.
Oh, sounds very fascinating to me, sounds very doable. Dr. Suren, is it not too far before we see things or designs such as CAPE or other music therapies coming into mainstream forms of treatment for people who are disturbed?
Well, thank you. You know, creative self-expression, if offered with supportive therapeutic environment, often improves your emotional well-being. You know, it helps with the various aspects of cognition, etc. We have several studies which has shown that. You know, in NHS we have various modalities of creative therapies. You know, music therapy, art therapy, dance and movement therapy, etc. But music therapy, of course, has got perhaps the most sort of attractive resonance to, because it's very available, you can access it anywhere, you don't have to be part of a group, etc. And there are several studies which have shown that the effect size of music therapy is somewhere around medium to large in a children and adolescents with some psychopathologies. But perhaps as it is very clearly said in the case, it has to be done as an adjunct with other mainstream therapeutic modalities like talking therapy and pharmacological intervention.
Sure. So yes, that's important you mentioned that, because music is being prescribed, not of course as a cure, but something that can be integrated to the other forms of treatment that already may be in place. And what is interesting is that you don't have to be a patient to be able to listen to music and things like this. You could be a doctor, you could be a journalist, and you could still enjoy it. And I want to come back to the fact that Indian music has been used into this, because that is very fascinating to me. And for me, I think that is the USP of what she has put together. Dr. Nandakumar, what is Indian music's space or place globally when it comes to therapy and things? We talk of yoga, we talk of drama and dance and so many other art forms, but where does Indian music stand?
Actually, I have come across many people.
And it can apply to the person who's stuck in a traffic jam down the road. It might apply to somebody who's had a bad day at office, at his workplace. So, or it could apply to children, young people who are struggling, but not necessarily known to mental health services. At the same time, as a clinician as well, I've seen a lot of cases wherein actually we have started to use a CAPE and we have started to notice improvements.
When I go to the pharmacy and I pick up something like this, which I imagine would be in a pharmacy, I could be very imaginative, or it could just be available with consultants such as you. Does it tell me a mood? For instance, if I'm angry today, does it tell me a particular type of music or song for that?
So we know from emotional research that one of the first steps to actually processing your emotion is about knowing what emotion you're experiencing, because when you're in an emotional crisis, they hit you fast, and lots of emotions hit you hard. So the actual technique actually guides you through to a point where you can actually identify and label the emotions, and that's the first step towards better emotional management. So that's kind of incorporated into the technique as well.
And do professionals such as you said you heard this kind of music, do professionals such as you use it to calm yourself down as well after a hard day at work?
Of course, yes. I listen to a wide range of music, but interestingly, as Dr. Nandakumara was saying, the Indian way of singing, I attend bhajans very regularly. So every weekend, that's part of my family routine. So that helps me to keep my momentum up. And what's just coming back to again, I was really fascinated by the concept of CAPE, because unlike other modalities which we see in the front line, NHS and things like that, this particular CD which I listened to, you have there is a initial bit, a good training of the individual, and then you could actually seamlessly choose the right ragas, for example. Well, it's a mixture of various ragas, both Western and Indian. But for example, I was driving to here, and I was listening to it in the car, and there was this. This was about the anger. The raga was, I can't remember what raga it was, but it's about anger. And it's fascinating how you can, you are in touch with some of the, elements of yourself. Yes, so fascinating.
You're so far away and you're still in touch with raga. Which one's the most used Indian raga?
That's a very difficult question. Which is why actually even within the pieces we've tried to incorporate various ragas, because we know certain ragas, we know that they support and they heal. So we've tried to incorporate a cluster of ragas to actually support people as much as possible.
Sure, great. When somebody is not very well, somebody needs some level of, or somebody to just tell you, calm down. This may come in handy. This is called, I reiterate, Creative Arts to Process Emotions. This is a CD which is not a film CD, it's not commercial, it's not a particular singer who finds mention or space in this CD. It is, thank you for doing this, because I think it is service. Not just to those who are ill, but it is service to anybody who may be having a tough day at work, where Indian ragas are used along with music from everywhere else from the world, which again is very, very calming, to be able to just process your emotions down and to just understand the world better and your own life better. And no stigma attached to it, because for all of us who are going through some form of therapy or not, we associate therapy to going into a room where there is either some machines where you have physiotherapy, or a drama school where you have to physically get to, or if you're doing a food or a talking therapy, then again you have to make it to your appointment. But this one is, you could be on a tube, you could be at home, you could be in India, you could be traveling, and you can just plug your headphones and listen to it, and nobody will even know that you're actually ill. No stigma whatsoever attached to it. And lastly,
and I just wanted to add that the whole technique has a very solid neuroscientific basis in my own research that we did with my team here in London, and we have actually incorporated what we know about emotions and the brain and about other well-evidenced therapeutic techniques, and we've used all that information in the technique.
Okay, great. Thank you, like I said, for doing that. Music being prescribed as medicine, and why not? If it is Indian music, we're all ears, aren't we? Thank you very much. Write your feedback, ooe@ndtv.com is where you write to. Thank you.